The rain didn't fall so much as it was hurled against the window pane, each drop a tiny bullet. Eleanor Vance watched them explode and merge into rivers, distorting the view of the Manhattan skyline that had once been her personal trophy. Tonight, the glittering towers looked like tombstones in the fog. Her reflection in the cold glass was a ghost superimposed on the city, a pale, sharp-edged woman of 32, with eyes the color of a winter sea and a stillness that suggested not peace, but the quiet before a detonation. This penthouse, all minimalist whites and chrome, felt less like a home and more like a meticulously curated crime scene. The crime had been her heart, and the sentence had been total ruin. 5 years ago, Eleanor hadn't been a ghost. She'd been a sunrise. The founder of Viridian, a revolutionary clean energy startup born not in a Silicon Valley garage, but in a dusty lab at MIT. Her invention, a compact, hyper-efficient battery cell, promised to change the world. She was the golden girl, the genius with a conscience, her picture splashed across Forbes and Wired. And then there was Marcus Thorne. He'd entered her life not with a bang, but with the steady, reassuring warmth of a banker's lamp. He was her venture capitalist, her guide through the shark-infested waters of high finance, her biggest champion. His smile was a promise, his touch a sanctuary. She, who had always trusted algorithms over people, entrusted him with everything. Her technology, her company, her heart. The unraveling was slow, surgical, and utterly invisible. It started with gentle suggestions. "Let me handle the investors, Ellie. You focus on the science." Then it was, "The board thinks a more experienced CEO would inspire confidence. I'll step in as interim, just until the IPO." She'd agreed, blinded by love and his seemingly selfless logic. He moved into her life, her home, her boardroom. The wedding was a small, elegant affair in the Hamptons. She wore ivory silk and believed in forever. The night before the IPO, he'd held her close, whispering how proud he was, how their future was limitless. The limit came the next day. At the opening bell on Wall Street, as Eleanor waited for the celebratory call from Marcus, her world imploded. A press release hit the wires. Marcus Thorne, newly installed as permanent CEO, announced a minor restructuring. Eleanor Vance, the founder, was being relieved of her operational duties due to creative differences. Her access badges were deactivated. The company's servers were wiped of her admin credentials. Before she could even process the legal jargon, a second, more personal blow landed. Her assets, which she'd naively allowed to be jointly managed, were frozen. The penthouse, bought with her early success, was in his name. Her bank accounts, linked for convenience, were emptied. A third, final dagger came via a sleek lawyer who arrived at her door. Divorce papers citing irreconcilable differences. He'd taken it all. Her life's work, her wealth, her dignity. He left her with only the clothes in her closet and a soul scoured raw. The following months were a descent into a private hell. She fought, of course, but Marcus had been clever. The paperwork was labyrinthine. The legal walls he'd built around her own company were impregnable. Her lawyers, seeing the depth of his preparation and the draining of her resources, grew hesitant. The media, once fawning, now painted her as the unstable genius who couldn't handle the business side. She became a cautionary tale. She lived in a borrowed studio in Brooklyn, the constant hum of regret her only companion. The love she had felt curdled into a poison so potent it threatened to stop her heart. But it didn't. Instead, it crystallized. The pain, the humiliation, the utter evisceration of her trust, it all cooled and hardened into a single flawless purpose: revenge. Revenge, Eleanor decided, would not be a knife in the dark. It would be a symphony. It would be the total and systematic annihilation of Marcus Thorne's world, built brick by brick from the rubble of her own. He hadn't just stolen a company, he had stolen a future. So she would steal his. She spent a year in the shadows, a phantom in the library stacks, teaching herself what she'd previously ignored: forensic accounting, corporate law, cybersecurity, the art of social manipulation. She shed Eleanor Vance, the broken-hearted victim. She became someone else, a woman forged in fury and honed by focus. Her re-entry into the world was under the name Nora Vale. With a small inheritance from a reclusive aunt she barely knew, she bought a discreet, high-tech loft in a nondescript part of Queens and started a boutique consulting firm, Atlas Solutions. Her specialty: Crisis Management for Tech Companies. It was the perfect cover. It gave her access, legitimacy, and a front-row seat to the vulnerabilities of powerful men. She cultivated a new aesthetic: severe black suits, hair pulled into a tight coil, a demeanor of unshakable icy competence. She watched Marcus from afar. Viridian, under his leadership, had become a behemoth but a bloated one. He diversified into shady foreign mining operations for lithium, cut safety corners, and engaged in creative accounting to keep the stock price soaring. He was no longer a caretaker of her dream, but a parasite sucking it dry. He lived in a monstrous glass palace in the Chelsea waterfront, married a socialite named Celeste, and was a fixture in the society pages, a king atop a rotting throne. Eleanor's plan was multi-phase, a clockwork of calamity designed to strip him of everything layer by layer. Phase 1. Financial corrosion. Using her fake identity and a network of discreet hackers she'd painstakingly assembled, a disillusioned former Viridian engineer, a libertarian data wizard in Estonia, she began a slow bleed. They created shell companies, mirrored in offshore havens, and initiated a complex dance of stock manipulation. They planted seeds of doubt through fabricated but credible-looking reports on Viridian's unsustainable lithium sourcing, leaking them to short sellers and niche financial blogs. The stock began to show a subtle, nervous volatility. Marcus dismissed it as market jitters. Phase 2. Reputational ruin. Here, Nora Vale made her first direct move. She was hired, through an intermediary, by a rival clean tech firm to audit a potential partnership with a Viridian subsidiary. It gave her the key to the castle. With inside access, she uncovered the smoking gun. Evidence of bribes paid to government inspectors in Chile to overlook environmental violations at a Viridian-owned mine. She didn't leak it to the press. Instead, she anonymously sent it to Marcus's fiercest competitor, a hard-nosed CEO who despised him. The rival, seeing the opportunity, released the documents in a damning public-facing report titled Viridian's Dirty Truth. The story exploded. Environmental activists picketed Viridian headquarters. Congressional subcommittees launched inquiries. Marcus's carefully crafted image as a visionary businessman began to crack, revealing the grubby pragmatist underneath. Eleanor watched it all from her command center in Queens, sipping black coffee, feeling nothing but the cold satisfaction of a perfect calculation. She saw Marcus on CNBC, sweating under the studio lights, his smile strained as he denied. It was a ballet and she was the choreographer. Phase 3 was the most personal, social destruction. She targeted his wife, Celeste. The socialite was a fragile ecosystem of vanity and insecurity, maintained by a fleet of stylists, therapists, and gossip columnists. Eleanor, as Nora, befriended a struggling artist with a drug problem and a talent for forgery. She funded him, and in return, he produced a series of fake love letters, seemingly from Marcus to a young male intern at Viridian. The letters were masterpieces. They captured Marcus's cadence, his specific brand of pompous affection. Eleanor ensured they were discovered by a maid on Celeste's payroll, one whose bank account had recently received a mysterious, generous deposit. The result was volcanic. A very public, very messy separation played out in the tabloids. Celeste, humiliated and vengeful, gave scorched earth interviews, hinting at other betrayals and Marcus's ruthless emptiness. The gleaming facade of his perfect life was now spiderwebbed with scandal. Marcus was reeling, but he wasn't destroyed. He was wounded, cornered, and therefore dangerous. He began to fight back with the desperation of a trapped animal. He hired the best, most ruthless private investigators to dig into the source of his torment. The name Nora Vale began to surface in connection with too many coincidences. Paranoia gnawed at him. He started to see patterns in the chaos, a chilling intelligence behind his misfortune. One rain-slicked night, as Eleanor was leaving a late meeting in Midtown, a black town car pulled alongside her. The window slid down. There he was, Marcus, 5 years older, lines of stress etching his once handsome face, but his eyes held the same calculated intensity. "Eleanor," he said, the name a ghost from her past. "Get in. Let's talk." Her blood turned to ice, but her face remained a placid mask. "I think you have me confused with someone else. My name is Nora Vale." "Cut the crap," he hissed, his composure slipping. I know it's you. The PI's report is on my desk. The timing, the expertise. It's too precise to be a coincidence. It's you. He leaned closer, his voice dropping. You always were brilliant. I'll give you that. But this? You're in over your head. Get in the car and we can discuss an end to this feud. I can make you very comfortable again. It was a threat wrapped in an offer. The old Eleanor might have trembled. The new one felt a surge of icy triumph. He knew. He finally saw her. She met his gaze, allowing a fraction of her true self, the scorched, vengeful core, to show in her eyes. A feud, Marcus? This isn't a feud. It's a foreclosure. She took a step back, her voice calm and clear in the dripping night. You borrowed a life that wasn't yours. The debt has come due, and I'm here to collect. Every last cent. She turned and walked away, her heels clicking a steady rhythm on the pavement, not looking back. She could feel his furious, bewildered stare boring into her spine. The hunter had been seen by the prey, and it only made the final act more satisfying. Phase 4. The final gambit. With Marcus now actively hunting her, Eleanor accelerated her plans. She had one final piece to play, the original Viridian battery design. Marcus, in his greed, had rushed a slightly altered, cheaper version into production. It had a flaw, a latent thermal instability that would only manifest under specific, rare stress conditions. Eleanor had known about it. It was a problem she'd been working on for weeks when he ousted her. Marcus's engineers, without her foundational knowledge, had missed it. Using her hacker, she accessed the internal quality assurance reports that had buried the issue. She then orchestrated a whistleblower scenario. A disgruntled Viridian engineer, fearing for his professional reputation after the Chile scandal, went public. He provided detailed schematics and test data to the National Transportation Safety Board. Simultaneously, reports began to surface of mysterious overheating in electric vehicles using Viridian's latest cells. It was a lie built on a kernel of truth, amplified to a deafening siren. The reaction was instantaneous and catastrophic. A massive mandatory recall was announced. Class action lawsuits materialized like storm clouds. The stock, already battered, went into freefall. Trading was halted. The board of directors, panicking, moved to oust Marcus to save whatever was left of the company. On the same day, federal prosecutors, armed with the evidence of bribery from the Chile scandal, unsealed an indictment for fraud, corruption, and securities violations. Marcus Thorne's photograph, this time under headlines of disgrace and criminality, was everywhere. Eleanor watched his perp walk on live television. He was led out of his glass palace in handcuffs, his face ashen, his expensive suit rumpled. The rain, a pathetic fallacy made real, plastered his hair to his forehead. He looked small, deflated, utterly conquered. The king was dethroned, his kingdom in ashes. She felt no explosion of joy, no cathartic scream. There was only a vast, silent stillness. The fire that had burned in her for 5 years had consumed its fuel and gone out, leaving behind cold ash. She had done it. She had taken everything from him, just as he had taken everything from her. Weeks later, the legal machinery ground on. Marcus was out on an exorbitant bail, fighting a battle he was destined to lose. Viridian was being carved up and sold for parts. Eleanor, as Nora Vale, sat in her loft. The screens that had once displayed her intricate plans were dark. She had won. But the woman who had desired this victory so fiercely, the woman forged from love's wreckage, seemed to have vanished with its achievement. Who was she now without the hunger? A package arrived by courier. No return address. Inside was a single sheet of high-quality stationery. It was a handwritten note from Marcus. The writing was shaky, unlike his usual confident script. Eleanor. You win. I am broken in every way a man can be broken. I see now with a terrible clarity what I destroyed. Not just a company but a person. You. I loved you in my own twisted way, but my ambition was a sickness that consumed that love. I am sorry. It is the most worthless currency now, I know, but it is all I have left. Asterisk. I hope your victory brings you peace. I doubt it will. We are both ghosts now. Asterisk. She read it once, then again. The paper trembled slightly in her hand. The apology she had craved for years tasted like dust. It changed nothing. It did nothing. The love had been real for her, and it had been the weapon that eviscerated her. His regret could not resurrect the woman she had been. That night she left the loft. She walked through the streets of New York, anonymous in the crowd. She passed a newsstand, his haunted face still on a few tabloids. She felt nothing. She walked until she found herself on the Brooklyn Bridge. The same city lights shimmering, the same river flowing dark and silent below. The hook of her story had been the loss of everything. The climax had been the taking of everything. But the ending was this hollow quiet. Revenge had not been a cure. It had been a transplant. She had cut out her own heart, poisoned as it was, and replaced it with a cold engine of retribution. Now the engine had shut down, and she was left with a cavernous silence where a soul used to be. She had become the woman hungry for revenge, and having feasted, she found the meal was ash. She looked at the water, then back at the city, the relentless, unforgiving, magnificent city that had witnessed her rise, her fall, and her resurrection as a monster. A slow, weary understanding dawned. The story wasn't over. The chapter of Eleanor versus Marcus was closed. But Noravale, she was still here. A woman unmade and remade, empty of love and now empty of vengeance. Perhaps that emptiness was a kind of freedom. Terrible blank freedom. She turned her back on the water and began the long walk into the anonymous night. She was not healed. She was not happy. But she was, for the first time in half a decade, no longer hungry. The future was a void and she stepped into it. A sharp silhouette finally disappearing into the shadows of the city that had created her, destroyed her, and now indifferently received her back. If you felt the chill of Eleanor's journey, if her hunger for justice resonated with you, then you understand the dark corners of the human heart. This story is a reminder that the lines between love and hate, creation and destruction, are perilously thin. Not all wounds heal with revenge, but some transformations are born only in fire. For more tales of complex women, moral gray areas, and the high cost of redemption, make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss a single story. We delve deep into the shadows here because sometimes, that's where the most compelling truths are hidden. What did you think of Eleanor's choice? Could you ever understand her path? Let us know in the comments below. Your insights fuel this channel. Until next time, remember, not every loss is an ending. Sometimes it's the beginning of a much darker, stronger story.